अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथन्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासां ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So today we will continue from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 9, and text number 10, where the Lord is prayed by Dhruva Maharaj. And in his last prayer, we have seen he was explaining about how he desired to worship the Lord with some material desire, with material motivation. And he himself condemning that attitude. Why is it so? That he is explaining in this verse. Because the pure devotees who really worship their Lordship, they don't have any desire other than to worship their Lordship itself. Because worshipping the Lord by following the process of Navavidha Bhakti, that gives immense of happiness, which is even not compared with the happiness that one can get by liberation. Generally, people they desire to get liberated from their sufferings, and for that they worship the Lord. But Dhruva Maharaj is condemning that also, and he says, "Yani vratistanubhrutam tava pada padma dhyanavat bhajvat jana katha shravanena vasyat सा ब्रह्मणि स्वं महिमन् अन्यपि नात्मा भूत किम् अन्तकासि लोलितात पततां विमानात्." He's explaining here, my dear Lord, the transcendental bliss derived from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about your glories from a pure devotees is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda. The Brahmananda means the happiness that one can achieve by merging into the Lord's existence, that is, attaining the Brahma Sayujya Mukti, wherein one thinks himself merged in impersonal Brahman as one with the Supreme. Since Brahmananda is also defeated by the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, then what to speak of the temporary blissfulness of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets, which is ended by separating the sword of time. Although one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, he falls down in a due course of time. In purport, Prabhupada says, the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, primarily from Shravanam, Kirtanam, as explained by Prahlad Maharaj, hearing and chanting cannot be compared to the happiness derived by karmis by elevating themselves to the heavenly planets, or by jnanis or yogis who enjoy oneness with the Supreme Impersonal Brahman. Yogis generally meditate upon the transcendental form of Vishnu, but devotees not only meditate upon him but actually engage in the direct service of the Lord. In the previous verse, we find the phrase bhavapyaya, which refers to birth and death. The Lord can give relief from the chain of birth and death. It is a misunderstanding to think, as do the monists, that when one gets relief from the process of birth and death, he merges into the supreme Brahman. Here it is clearly said that the transcendental bliss derived from Shravanam Kirtanam by pure devotees cannot be compared to Brahmananda, or the impersonal conception of transcendental bliss derived by merging into the absolute. The position of karmis is still more degraded. Their aim is to elevate themselves to the higher planetary systems. It is said, Yanti Devavrata Devan, person who worship the demigods are elevated to the heavenly planets, as explained in Bhagavad Gita 9.25. But elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, we find Kshine Punye Martalokam Vishanti. Those who are elevated to the higher planetary systems must come down again as soon as the results of their pious activities are exhausted. They are like the modern astronauts who go to the moon. As soon as their fuel is used up, they are obliged to come back down to this earth. As the modern astronauts who go to the moon or other heavenly planets by force of jet propulsion have to come down again after exhausting their fuel. So also do those who are elevated to the heavenly planets by force of jnana and pious activities, or yajnas or pious activities. Antakasi lulitat. By the sword of time, one is cut from his exalted position within this material world, and he comes down again. Dhruva Maharaj appreciated that the result of devotional service are far more valuable than merging into the absolute or being elevated to the heavenly planets. The words Patatam Vimanat are very significant. Vimana means airplane. Those who are elevated to the heavenly planets are like airplanes which drop when they run out of fuel. So, here in this particular verse, we can understand the perception of devotee when they look upon Sayujya Mukti. In Srimad Bhagavatam itself, in the episode of Ambarish Maharaj, when Durvasa he runs to Vaikuntha Loka and he prayed their Lordship, my Lord, please come and save me. So that time, Lord, he explains about his own devotees. And there he says that my devotees, they are not at all interested in any material things. Here, Lord uses one particular phrase for what one can achieve by material endeavor or performing yagyas. They may go to the heavenly planets. But all those things are, he says, kala bip luptam, means all those things are getting lupta, destroyed by the time. And same phrase has used here by Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj says these are antakasi lulipta, which are cut down or destroyed by the sword of time. So things which are attained by our material endeavor, that's by karmis, are useless because they are going to give you suffering. As explained in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the Avantika Brahmanas episode, Even though if you earn money very piously, that brings you 15 anarthas, and that ultimately destroys you. So devotees are not at all interested in such a kind of a sufferings actually. And that's why when Brikasura, when he prays to their lordship, there he says, Na yoga siddhir. I don't want any perfection of yoga or siddhis. Huh? Na punarbhavamba, even the liberation, I don't want it. Because I'm not interested in that. Na parameshtham, na janadhipatyam, neither the rulership of Brahma Loka or any kingdom. I'm not at all desire. See, that's what the desire, that what's the attitude of devotee. They are least interested in material things. Why? Because they get such a abundance of happiness in Lord's service. As Lord Shiva, he explains to Mother Parvati in the sixth canto, 17th chapter, in the Chitraketu's episode. He says that Narayana para sarve na kutashana bibhyati. Swarga apavarga narakeshu tulyartha darshana. For them, they are not at all interested in any material things. What to speak of material things? For them, Naraka, Swarga, and attaining liberation is also not not having at all any sort of interest in that, because they are Narayana Para. They are totally absorbed in worshipping Lord Narayana. That's what Narayana Para means. So we have to understand that. As in the previous verse, Dhruva Maharaj, he has condemned his own process for which he worshipped the Lord, because he took the process of karmi, you know, because they desire something and then to attain that result they go to the Lord. And that's not the proper way of worshiping Lord. Because even though Lord gives you, it's like going to the king, and when he is ready to give you anything, and you go and ask, give me a silver bowl so I can beg. See, this is what useless intelligence. So when you go to the Lord, ask for something which can really doesn't matters for your existence here. Whether you live here or whether you live anywhere in the world, when you remember their Lordship, because that bliss is totally different. See, even Gajendra, let me read that verse from 8th canto. It's nice one actually. Even Gajendra, he explained himself what it means. He says that ekantino yasya na kanchanartham वांछति ये वै भगवत प्रपन्नः अत्यद्भुतं तत् चरितं सुमरालनं गायन्ति आनंद समुद्रमग्ना. Devotees, they are always inundating themselves in the Ananda Samudra, in the ocean of bliss. He says that unalloyed devotees who have no desire other than to serve the Lord worship Him in full surrender and always hear and chant about His activities, which are most wonderful and auspicious. Thus, they always merge in an ocean of transcendental bliss. Such a devotees never ask Lord for any benediction. And that's what in Hari Bhakti Sudodaya, Dhruva Maharaj himself says, Sthanabilashi tapasi sthitoham tvam praptavan deva munindra guhyam. Kanchan Vichinmam Abhidivyaratnam Swamin Krutharto Asmin Varam Nayachet. My Lord, I was worshipping you to fulfill my desire for attaining the highest position in the material world. But right now, what has happened? Tvam Praptavan. Now I have attended you. And who you are? Deva Munindra Guhyam. Even you are rarely attainable by the Devatas, by the great Munis. And you are right in front of me now. So it is like I am struggling to get the piece of glass. And what I have obtained now? Kanchan, which in Vam Divyarat, Api Divyaratnam. I got the Divyaratna, the I can't put a worth, I can't value, I can make value of that. It is Amulya, Divyaratna. Materially, I can't guess what kind of a value it has. I got such a kind of a diamond. So this is what when devotee they look upon the Lord's service. Then why is it so? Bilwamangal Thakur he explains about that. He says that Mukti Swayam Mukula Mukulita Anjali. Mukti Swayam Mukulita Anjali Sevate Asman. When you start rendering devotional service to the Lord, the side effect of is that Mukti Swayam, the liberation herself, she stands at your door with folded hands. Mukulita Anjali Sevate Asmat, and she renders service to the devotees. Then what to speak of Dharma Artha Kama Gataya Samam Pratikshaha. Dharma Artha Kama, all they are your doorstep only when you start worshipping them. And when someone gets really a wonderful taste in the Lord's service, then what happens to him? That we can see in the episode of uh, Prithu Maharaj. What he's asking for? He's asking to their Lordship for millions of years, so that he can hear about the glories of the Lord. It's not that numbers of years, but he wanted to have the capacity of millions of years by which he can hear about the glories of the Lord. See, this is what devotees desire. And for them, this liberation doesn't matter. Even Indra, in the seventh canto, he says, प्रत्यानिता परम भवत्रात्रिता नस्वभगा दैत्यांक्रांतः हृदय कमल तत्गृहम प्रत्यबोधि कालग्रस्तं कियदि idamaho nath sushrutam te. Here this word is most important. Sushrutam te muktihi tesham nahi bahumata narasimha paraihikim. When Lord Narasimha he killed Hiranyakashipu, then all the demigods to pacify him they started offering prayers. And that time King Indra he says, O Supreme Lord, you are our deliverer and protector. Our shares of sacrifices, which are actually yours, have been recovered from the demon by you, because the demonic king Hiranyakashipu was most fearsome. Our hearts, which are your permanent abode, were all overtaken by him. Now, by your presence, The gloom of darkness in our hearts have been dissipated. O Lord, for those who always engage in your service, that is Sushrutam, which is more exalted than Muktestesham Bahumata, more exalted than the liberation. All material opulences is insignificant. They do not even care for a liberation, not to speak of material benefits of Kama, Artha, and Dharma. Because as in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that whoever worship demigods, they go to the planets of demigods. But whatever they give, that is also temporary. Because demigods, their existence itself is a temporary. Why is it so? Like a one demigod, he lives for one manvantara. So one manvantara is a span of 72 Divya Yugas. So once they are finished, so demigods are no more. So whatever they give, that is also has a time limit. And we don't live for that long. Our life, like in the age of Akali, we live for like 100 years. So how much are you going to get it? Whatever they give, that's going to end it with this body itself. It's not going to continue in the next lifetime, whatever their benediction. So devotees understanding that they don't worship demigods for any other results. Because they know once you perform the devotional service of the Lord, even the liberation is standing at your doorstep. Then what to speak of Dharma Artha Kama? Hmm? See, that's what we can learn from this today's verse. That please, because generally what happens, merging into Lord's existence, like attaining Brahma Sayuja, is like a punishment. In China, for most intellectual people, they give one particular kind of a punishment. They put that person in one cubicle. Hmm? It may be like a 10 feet by 10 feet or 12 feet by 12 feet. And it has everything. It has roof, walls, floor, everything white. What clothes they are put on, they are also white. The bed they have given to that person is white. All other accessories in the room, all are white. And they give him food, the plate, everything that is also white. So it's like a totally monotonic. And it's for 24 hours a day. So that person, by seeing that monotonic things, he goes crazy. So no physical punishment. It's subtle. So same thing happens with the jiva. When he goes to the Brahmajyoti, there are no activities. And jiva, being conditioned in this material world, in this material body, is so active. When he gets liberated, do you think that he will not act? He will not desire to perform something? So for him, it is like an intellectual suicide. That's why Prabhupada sometimes he says that for devotees, getting Brahma Sayuja means committing suicide. Because our real joy is to render service. And that's why the joy that you attain by rendering devotional service, like hearing about the Lord, rendering some personal service to the Lord, that joy is totally different from Brahmananda. Does it make sense?
Yes,
Hmm?
it gives happiness. So,
Because as Lord says, Susukham karatum avyayam. About devotional service, Lord Himself says it is Susukham karatum avyayam. It's going to give you that bliss which is avyaya, which is not going to get perished. But as we chant in the first verse of Shiksha Ashtaka, what we say? The last line. Anandam buddhi varadhanam. Simply the chanting of holy name itself is like a, we haven't seen ocean is increasing. It may be in devastation and that will destroy anything. But here the ocean of bliss is ever increasing. Then how you can compare that with the happiness that you may get with the merging into the Lord's existence? In Marathi, Sant Tukaram Maharaj, he says, "Oh my Lord, Advaite, Advaite ti maji nahi samadhana. I don't have any satisfaction in oneness of with you. तू माझा देव मी तुझा दास हाची एक भाव सदा रहो. You are my master and I am your servant. This is our relationship remain eternally because this is what going to give me a pleasure." So this is what the desire of devotees that we can understand from. Like Shukdev Goswami, he says when he explains about what's his name, Bharat Maharaj. While explaining about Bharat Maharaj, he says, "Yo dustyajan kshiti sutta swajanartha dharan parthyam shriyam suravaraihi sadayavalokam naichit nrupastadu uchitam mahatam madhutvisham sevanurakt manasaha abhavo api falgu." The most important word here, seva anurakta manasa abhava api falgu. Abhava means liberation. He said that falgu means mithya, it is useless. For whom? He explains about the characteristics of Bharat Maharaj. He says, he explains to Parikshit Maharaj that, "My dear king, the activities of Bharat Maharaj are wonderful. He gave up everything difficult for others to give up. He gave up his kingdom, his wife, and his family. His opulence was so great that even the demigods envied it. They were jealous of him. Yet he gave it up. It was quite befitting a great personality like him to be a great devotee. He could renounce everything, the reason behind that, because he was so attracted to the beauty, opulence, reputation, knowledge, strength, and renunciation of the Supreme Personality of a Godhead, Krishna. Krishna is so attractive that one can give up all desirable things for his sake. Indeed, even liberation is considered insignificant for those whose minds are attracted to the loving service of the Lord. Make sense? So one should understand that. Generally, what happened in the beginning stage when we are acquiring knowledge, we wanted to get rid of all sufferings. But that's not the goal of rendering devotional service. Like Maharaj Kulashekar says, Divi viva bhuviva mama pivaso narakeshuva narakanta prakamam. Oh my Lord, put me anywhere. Divi, Divya Lokas, Bhuvi, here, Narakeshuva, in the hell or heaven, wherever you want to put me. But one thing, Avirata Smarana Tata Charanaravinda. Let me have continuous remembrance of your lotus feet. Because that remembrance is can't compare with anything in this material. So to take away from today's session is that the bliss that we can get it by rendering devotional service is far superior than anything. It is superior to mukti, then what to speak of the things that you are going to get it by performing karma kanda. So as Prabhupada explains, he gives wonderful uh, analogy here that they go by Apollo and other things to moon or anything. Once fuel is over, they have to come back. So same way you perform pious activities and go to Vaikuntha, go to Swargaloka. But Shrinya Punyam Artha Lokam Vishanti. Again you have to come down. But that never happens with the devotees because they are whenever or wherever, they are not bothered because they are always surrendering and thinking about the lotus feet of their Lordship. So we'll stop here and we'll continue our discussion from next Saturday. Srila Dhruva Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai. Thank you very much.